So once again, James Bond is in the news as people are discussing who should be the next James Bond. Now, let's look at James Bond by going back to the original novel Casino Royale. Now, the thing about Bond is basically a very anachronistic character. He's basically a World War II special operations executive saboteur. Okay, because that's the organization that Fleming's brother Peter worked for. Those are the guys who were going behind enemy lines, doing all the quote unquote James Bond shit. So that's it. And Special Operations Executive was like disbanded on the 1st of January 1946. So I mean that's the end of it. And Bond himself in Casino Royale is basically a troubleshooter in search of someone to shoot, and that's it. I mean, he's this World War II saboteur in the Cold War, so he's already an anachronism at the time. And then going forward, the movies get made. So basically, he's this sort of 60s playboy who was based on Cold War anachronism. Uh, the World War II character in the Cold War in the 50s in some sort of film noir sort of spy setting, and then it gets pushed into the. I mean, okay, I'll give you an example. Goldfinger. Now, the the reality is that every Bond movie, every new James Bond is basically peaks in his third movie. Okay, and Goldfinger was Connery's biggest one. It set the mold for basically the rest of the series. But I mean, certainly Connery's movies are defined by Goldfinger. If you look forward, Roger Moore, his third movie was The Spy Who Loved Me, which is his best movie in the series, but also I'd say probably the best Bond movie overall. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have flaws. It goes on for far too long, and Anya Masova doesn't have anything to do in the third act. And I think if they tightened it up and given her more to do, that would have been excellent, instead of just turning her into a damsel in distress. And that can be sort of forgiven because the movie came out like a couple of months before Star Wars Part 4 New Hope came out. But if it had come out after Princess Leia had kicked ass, yeah, I think the damsel in distress trope was just completely killed off by Princess Leia in 1977. So anyway, let's see. Going forward, Timothy Dalton did not get a third movie, but if the resources that had gone into Goldeneye had been used on a Dalton movie, I think it could have been pretty spectacular. And let's see, then the Daniel Craig era. The third Daniel Craig movie is Skyfall, which is my favorite of his movies. Um, Probably just because the Roger Deakins is just such an excellent cinematographer, and it's so beautifully shot. And yes, okay, the guest stars are pretty good as well. But anyway, the bottom line is this: who should play the new James Bond? Well, you can't you can't just base it on what came before. I mean, James Bond has been played by a number of different actors. There was an American Jimmy Bond, who was the first ever James Bond. In the movie, the 1967 movie, there was David Niven and Peter Sellers and so many other people all playing James Bond. And which is the best, which is the worst? Pierce Brosnan was the new Roger Moore. Daniel Craig, the blonde Bond, and I have to say, Bond should not be blonde. That's one of the rules. Blonde Bond was the new Timothy Dalton, so the seriousness that worked, but So, who should it be? James Bond, canonically in the books, retires at the age of 45, retires from the field work. If he was a fast jet pilot, he would have retired at the age of 35. So, just because the reactions are shot. But yes, so Bond should be someone who, if they're going to be making at least, say, decades worth of movies with them, the youngest they could be is maybe 30. If they're an old 30 and you can age them up, say, sort of look 35. And then in the final movie, you could age them down, so you could have a 50-year-old playing 45. I mean, to be honest, Henry Cavill's just too old. Idris Elba is too old. They'd have to cast like a 30-year-old, someone in their early 30s, and who's not a blonde. Sorry. No blonde-haired persons to play James Bond. We've had that, yeah, whatever. But no, Bond should not be blonde. That is my one criteria. Now, how much of the backstory they're going to keep, or whether Bond is just a generic name, I mean, the thing is, Batman, is he just a guy in a suit, or is he Bruce Wayne, Because there's all that backstory that goes with that. And the same thing with James Bond. I mean, I don't know.